Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. Today, we have a special treat for you. The one and only, the unicorn of Austin, the legend himself, Jordan Macdonald. Welcome to the podcast, sir. Thank you.
Yo, Evan. Thank you for having me, bro. I'm excited to be here. Excited to chat with you, man.
Yeah, man. Even before this podcast, we started talking. And I was like, I wish we were talking about this on the podcast, because one of the things that we talked about was technology and how amazing it is right now.
Yeah.
Do you feel like we are at the best point to be a creative person, like to be a self-starter artist?
Most definitely, bro, because we have the internet, and we have the internet, after 25 years of existence or whatever, or so. And so it's like, whoa, there's so many opportunities just because we can reach so many people. We're probably 20 miles away from each other, 25 miles away from each other right now. And it's almost as if we're in the same exact room together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I feel like with that, being a creative person, just allowing people to, for example, on my Instagram, I have a comedy video that reached 20,000 views, and some people wouldn't say that's a lot, but I'm like, 20,000
Dude,
views,
that's a lot.
That's 20,000 humans that have seen me do something on stage, Like, that's nuts to me. And just the fact that I, just released that while I was at work at my day job.
Yeah.
And then, it just kind of went somewhere is crazy to me. It's awesome. It's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah. And that's what's like interesting about doing stand-up is because at least when I started stand-up like 4 years ago, there was a mindset where a lot of people didn't want to embrace the internet. And they're like, man, if you're like trying to post funny videos and stuff like that on there, you're going to it's not stand-up. And it's just like, dude, you got to adapt to everything happening.
Yeah, you have to adapt. And I understand in terms of stand-up comedy, comedians not wanting to put material out. Because I really don't put any of my written material out, but I do crowd work and stuff. And so whenever a magical moment happens with the crowd, I'm definitely putting that out, because that's a once in a lifetime opportunity right there that even happened. That's a very rare chance that won't happen again in that way. So, and that's honestly has helped, grow my, social media footprint and garner more people to follow me and even book me on stuff. Just because I can put a high quality video out that can reach the 1,600 whatever so people that follow me, and then plus more of that, because Instagram Reels be popping
right now, dog. They popping
what? Because they want to be bigger than TikTok. TikTok made Instagram scared. Instagram did the Reels, and of course they're going to promote that way more than anything else, because that's what the main medium that TikTok is. So if you're not using Instagram Reels right now, like you're lacking on your social media game if you're creative, for real.
Yeah. And it's crazy for me because I have a background in like filmmaking and doing like longer form video. And I'll spend like early pandemic, I made like a short film, and it was like 5 or 6 minutes long. Shit got like 600 views. And then I'll make a dumb reel that took me 15 minutes to do, and it'll get 15,000 views. And I'm just like, this is crazy.
Because we're the microwave generation. We're so used to everything right then and there. And that's even become so with video format. Now people don't want to sit down and watch a 2.5 hour movie, but they will sit down and watch 10 seasons of, 10 episodes at 30 minutes, 45 minutes a pop. Yeah. And then even with, consuming entertainment and media on our cell phones, we don't want to sit down and watch a full 5-10 minute video on our cell phone, but we will scroll through 35 1-minute videos on Instagram Reels or TikTok,
Yeah. There was that.
It's like, hey, you just adjust to the game and go with it, because that's just kind of what you have to do to stay relevant and to become relevant and kind of remain relevant to people, because we need people to watch us. We need people in order to have a career and stuff where we can feed ourselves and pay rent and do stuff. Like, we need people to like what we do and what we release, and watch what we do and release, and support what we do and release.
Yeah. Do you have a balance where you look at it? Cause like, I know you're dedicated and you're committed to it. Is there a balance where you're like, I spend these days on social media and then I limit the amount of time I'm on there? Cause there's like a slippery slope of being like,
I have no,
it's
bad. I even have the 1 hour warning thing on my phone.
And you just ignore it.
Just like ignore for the day, because especially now, man, like that's how I'm connecting. That's how I'm selling tickets to stuff. That's how I'm letting people know that when I do shows, I DM people. I go into people's DMs. If you follow me, I'm going to DM you. If you follow me and I know you live in Austin, I'm going to DM you about my stuff. Cause I mean, it's the easiest way to communicate with people. I don't have to hit you up on a cell phone. So it's not like awkward, because now it's almost kind of awkward if you text somebody about something, but it's totally, yeah. Hey, I'm doing this show this Friday. That's totally inappropriate.
Yeah.
In these days,
so but old school.
A DM is perfectly fine, and a DM, I can reach way more people, through a DM than through texting people,
Yeah. Do you consume just as much as you're on it, or are you strictly try to just be on there? Because for me, like, I get distracted if I start scrolling?
I will get distracted, but I am able to stop myself and tell myself, yo, you need to get off. If you're not, messaging people, if you're not posting or whatever, get off and don't scroll through and stuff. But I do my best to be as productive as possible when I'm on my phone.
Yeah.
Because like I edit videos on my phone. I edit flyers and stuff on my phone. I'm shooting on my phone. I have a gimbal for my phone. I use my phone so much. And so my screen time is really high, but honestly, my screen time isn't as much like BSing as, you would think, as much as I am on my phone.
And it's like now your phone is a camera. It is Photoshop.
Oh, it's the best Swiss Army knife ever, bro.
Yeah, man.
Like literally, like you remember back in the day how they would be all lit, like, yo, a Swiss Army knife does everything. Like I got a screwdriver, I got a can opener, I can cut something, I can catch some shit on fire, I can cause a spark. I have a corkscrew on it. That's what my phone is to me. I got my camera, I got my editing tool. I don't edit on my computer anymore. Yeah. Because what's the point? I can edit while I'm on the bus or whatever. I can edit while I'm chilling at work, like all on my phone. It's faster. It doesn't crash as much as Adobe Premiere Pro.
Dude, yeah. I hear you on that for sure.
But yeah, it's the best Swiss Army knife ever.
Have you always, because you mentioned that you used to do music. I'm sure you still do music and acting. Have you always pursued the arts and being creative?
Oh yeah, dude. I've always known that since I was a kid that I was going to do, like, I would just look at Will Smith and be like, yeah, I'm going to do something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I couldn't put a name on it when I was 6 or 7, but I can remember very vividly seeing Will Smith on screen and being like, that's whatever that is, I can do. And I remember the first, like my parents were fans of Sinbad.
Oh, dude. First comedy special I ever saw, bro. Blew my mind.
Same. Mine was, I forgot which special it's called, but it's the one where he talks about slipping on ice. And he said it's so funny watching people slip on ice until it's you slipping on ice. And I remember that like just being hilarious, and him talking about being somewhere in the middle of nowhere and getting directions of somewhere in like Arizona and saying, I'm next to some dead birds on the ground. Like, can you come find me or something? That was the very first special that I remember watching with my family. But the first special I remember that made me like obsessed with comedy and like really want to do comedy was Killing 'Em Softly by Dave Chappelle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was on the school bus. I forgot. I was in probably 6th grade, 6th or 7th grade. I was on the school bus. This kid had an iPod Touch.
Oh yeah.
It was before iPhone. It was the iPod Touch. And he was like, dude, Jordan, have you heard of Dave Chappelle? I was like, no, what are you talking about? He's like, you have to watch this special. And we watched it on he gave me a headphone. We sat on the seat of the bus. He gave me a headphone. We watched the special. And I just remember like going to LimeWire that night and downloading it off of LimeWire because LimeWire had it at the time, and I was obsessed.
Yeah,
I watched it over and over and over and over and over and over.
Is Killing Him Softly the one where he's like, I'm gonna race him?
Yeah,
sometimes you just gotta race.
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta race. Like, that special right there was like crazy to me, and I always like. It's interesting though because I always wanted to do stand up, but it took me until I was 24 to finally try it. 24, 25 to finally try it, and then when I was 26 is when I really jumped into it and was like, no, I'm going to do stand up. But I've always been into acting. Like I did my first film when I was 14 years old, which kind of got me obsessed with filmmaking. Too. But I was pursuing more towards acting and filmmaking before I jumped into comedy, and the more that things would happen, I was able to be in some pretty like noteworthy things. Like I was able to be in Alita Battle Angel by James Cameron and Robert Rodriguez. I danced on an episode of Drunk History on Comedy Central. The History of Hip Hop episode, I was on that episode. I was on in the first episode of Magic for Humans on Netflix. I have a Mike's Hard Lemonade seltzer campaign out right now.
That's awesome, dude.
And done like a handful of short films. I shot 4 short films last year and then shot another Gibson guitar commercial last year. So like I was able, like I was a working actor and stuff, you know, I was, making some money. And doing that. But the more I got deeper in it, the more I kind of was not really satisfied with how the industry was just because the way they were treating me because of how I look. And I was being called niche a lot, which started to bother me because it was middle-aged white people calling me niche. And it really just felt like they were saying you're a type of black that we're not used to. It was like, oh, we just got used to these Wakanda black folks. Like we not used to black folks like you yet. Like we don't really know how to categorize you yet and how to box you in yet. And so they just would keep calling me niche, and that got to a point where I was like, you know what? Like I don't need y'all to tell me that I'm talented, or because all acting is a game of acceptance. Does this writer accept me? Does this director accept me? Does this producer accept me? Does this casting director accept me? Does this manager accept me? Does this agent? It's just a game of acceptance by everybody. And
it's the worst show pony, like, pony show.
Yeah.
Because I'd go into auditions and everything. And it's like, they want you to jump through hoops. They want you to kiss their ass and to work within these certain like box. And it's just like, this is gross. There's a weird feel to it all.
I don't need y'all to tell me that I'm talented. I know I'm talented. I don't need y'all to tell me that I'm talented. And comedy, stand-up comedy was that thing where it's like I can get on stage every night and show the entire planet of how talented and funny I am.
Yeah.
And after the last time a casting director called me niche, I just kind of stopped.
They would say that. They would just straight up say you're pretty niche. We don't have at this moment.
Yeah. So what actors, a practice that actors will do, like, we would go into different types of meetings and stuff with casting directors and agents and stuff, and send them our headshot and ask them, what type of roles do you see me for and stuff, and what type of look do you think I have, and what type of characters do you think I could play, and what type of TV shows do you think I could be on and stuff like that, and what type of networks do you think I could be on. And the last time I did that, this casting director, she was casting TV shows on the CW and stuff like that. And she looked at my photo and she was just, and this wasn't the first time I had heard this, but she looked at my photo and goes, you're just so niche. You just have such a niche look about you. You're very niche. Yeah. And like, it clicked to me what she was saying, because I know like that especially in American media, popular media, generally like black people don't look like me, that the ones that are shown on TV and stuff. Like my look isn't really shown as a black person when it comes to American media and American social standards and stuff, even though that's what the world and how white people perceive me as when I'm out, in the real world. In the acting world, I'm not I'm not the type of black person that's super prevalent in media yet for whatever the social standard is for, Hollywood's medium. And so after being told that by that casting director, I kind of was like, I'm hilarious and I'm going to show y'all. And then it's going to get to a point where I'm not even going to have to fucking audition for y'all because y'all are going to want to put me in the show, because now I've made it, not niche. I've made it more normal to see black people that look like this and dress like this and, and do the types of things that I do and present myself the way I present myself,
Yeah. That's what's I think Hollywood in a lot of ways is falling behind what's actually funny. And there's like a way that creators like you and just anybody who's independent is completely bypassing them, because you have like people who aren't the creative ones for some fucking reason picking the people to be the creative ones.
Yeah. And it's like, bro, and luckily because of the internet and because of technology and because of social media, we don't even need these people anymore.
Yeah.
To have a fan base, to have actual fans, because bro, and right now comedians are the new rock stars. Like because bro, with the pandemic, with what happened in the past 2 years with the pandemic and how everything there was literally, it felt like the hope got sucked out of all of the planet for a minute. And for people are like needing laughter so much. Damn near every comedy show in Austin, Texas gets sold out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because people need laughter. People want to laugh more than anything. People want to be happy more than anything right now. And especially with what's happening in Austin, Texas with comedy and stuff, it's the new rock star medium and stuff, especially if like you're really hustling and stuff, like it's,
Yeah. And the last thing I think, I agree 100%. And it's like the last thing everyday people want is for actors to make a video being like, imagine all the people.
Bro, like fuck all that, because bro, Chris Rock made a good point. He said if the average person, if the average American knew how much free stuff rich and famous people got, they would lose their fucking minds. And it's true, because it's like the whole acting industry and actors, they're people that aren't used to being told no.
Yeah.
Especially your movie stars, especially your stars, the ones that you see, in the commercials and their names and like that are very well known. These people don't get told no.
Yeah.
And so we don't need y'all. What is singing Imagine while
it's so disconnected.
People like don't know how they're gonna feed like themselves or their kids or pay their rent, and y'all think that singing this song and recording selfies of y'all singing this song is really helping people out? Like all of Hollywood is disconnected from actual life, actual reality. What people and that's why comedy is important, because we're one of the few platforms and art forms that really is a reflection of what society is and what society is going through and what society is actually thinking. And we're the ones that aren't afraid to get on stage and say it, because y'all are thinking it, get offended. You've thought it. You've thought these thoughts before.
Yeah. That's what it feels like.
I'm just holding up a mirror to the audience. I'm holding up a mirror to what y'all are honestly already thinking. I'm just not afraid to get on stage and say it.
And that's why I think it is people want that and are going out to comedy shows a lot, is because comedians are saying what people are thinking. But for some reason, society's taken this weird twist where people aren't allowed to say it anymore. So they want someone else to say it and to laugh about it and to be in a room where everybody's agreeing that this is okay to laugh at. And it's like, thank God.
We're comedians. We're not politicians. We are comedians. Our life is to make strangers laugh.
Yeah.
So if you do get offended, what's the point? What the fuck can we do anyways, bro? Like, I tell jokes for a living. I get on stage and tell jokes to people for a living, for a laugh. Some of my material is very, about serious things, about serious racial type things and stuff like that. But then some of my material is about my dick.
Yeah.
You know, like what do you want me to do? Like what can I do?
Yeah.
You know what?
Is that the reel you're talking about when you were talking about your reel? Was it? I think I saw that one. Was that the one where you're doing a dick joke and your fly was down?
I only have one day. I'm not a super raunchy comedian.
Mm-hmm.
I like to I walk a fine line, I guess you could say, because I didn't think I did, but the more people will seem to get offended by some of my jokes, I was like, okay, I think I might be walking a fine line right here, which makes me even more happy to do that and be that.
It's a good place to be. Yeah.
I don't mind when people get offended, because honestly, if you really look at what I'm saying, I'm not saying anything that's offensive to anybody.
Yeah.
But it's just like the way I'm saying it because I say it in a way where, and I'm doing this on purpose, I say certain jokes in a way that I know that people that aren't really listening to me, they're going to hear it and be like, oh my God, he says he doesn't date white women. He's a racist. Like, you know, like stuff like that. Like I say stuff in a certain way because I know I'm going to get that reaction from at least one person, you know, is going to like tend to react like that.
Have you had anybody come up to you after a show and try to?
Hell yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I have.
Talk to you about
bro. I had somebody walk from a show 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
This is the first time this ever happened. But it was within the first 2-3 minutes of my set, and I'm gonna release this video too. But it was within the first 2-3 minutes of my set, and they started like talking at the table. They're in the front row. And I just was talking about, I'm going to talk about white people, but not yet. I'll get to y'all later or whatever, right? That's all I had said racially at that point. And they were talking during my show, during one of my bits. And I had said, hey, I need y'all to be quiet. You're distracting everybody else from the show.
Yeah.
They paid to be here, and I'm putting on a show for the people, so I need y'all to be quiet. They're like, well, we paid for tickets too. And I'm like, I understand that, but y'all are being disrespectful to everybody else that paid tickets and is actually paying attention to my show, and they didn't like that, got up and left. But then these two white women from the back of the room walked to the front of the room and sat in their spots in the front row. So hey, it made for great clips, made for a great moment. And it was interesting because of course that made the entire room awkward, right? And I felt the energy completely shift, because I was doing really well. They kind of threw me off. They got up and left. But then like the two chicks walking from the back to the front and sitting in their spot kind of was a propeller to be like, okay, we in this, like we gonna be good. Like, and then man, the rest of the set I just kind of blasted off, and it was dope. But one time,
I was gonna say, it's such a fine line dealing with hecklers, because you have to handle them to a certain point where they're like the point gets across, but then man, because I've done that, or like where I've gone too far making fun of them or like being mean. Yeah. And then it just, the energy's gone. And then you have to
like, I'm never mean. I don't cuss people out.
Yeah.
Like I'm never spiteful or anything. I'm very just kind of to the point.
Yeah.
Because, and if there's an opportunity to make a joke, I will make a joke. But at the end of the day, I treat this as a full-time job, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
And so you're not about to stop me from doing my job.
Yeah.
Especially when it's a full room of people that paid money.
Yeah.
You're not going to stop me from doing my job at all under any circumstance. And so I can, if there's an opportunity to make a joke and we can laugh it off, cool. But if not, and you just can't be in the room then.
Yeah, no, it has to happen, because those people, if nothing happens, they go to the next show and then they heckle that, and then they do this.
And they think that that's appropriate to do that to people. And I feel like I'm confident enough in myself where you're not going to throw me off my game. Like you, especially like you're not a comedian. You're not going to throw me off my game. We can talk this out. If I need you to be quiet, I will stop what I'm doing and tell you need to be quiet, because these other people have paid. And they didn't like the fact that I told them to be quiet. So they assumed I was talking about a bunch of racism stuff. She was like, all the racism, whenever she left, she just like threw that out. And then I went back and watched the tape, and I was like, I had only said anything about white people, and y'all were brown. So I don't know what's going on. I'm confused, honestly. But it ended up being a great show. Honestly, it ended up being an incredible show, and everybody else had a great time.
Yeah.
Everybody else seemed to love. Nobody got offended. But there's always at least one, because they hear, you know, the on the surface. Mm-hmm. They hear everything on the surface. They don't actually hear what is actually being said. They take everything for face value, and everybody feels like their opinion matters. I mean, I guess even comedians the most, because we get on stage and talk about our opinions. Yeah. But I mean, nobody else is doing that. So whatever, this is a job. There's a job for me to do that. I'm going to do that, you know, and express my opinion. Unless you're doing that, it's like, I mean, I know my opinion doesn't matter, but neither does anybody else's in the world. So, you know, if my job is expressing my opinion, then let me do my job, you know?
Yeah. And you're a professional who's like crafted jokes. You're not just getting up there winging it and talking about ideas.
Yeah. I'm not just winging. This has been, you know, I'm coming up on 3 straight years of comedy, of stand-up comedy and stuff. So it's like, I'm not just like, I've bombed plenty of times to, you know, get to this point where I can demand the attention of the room, because one, I got hired to be up here for at least 20 minutes. So I have to be on the stage for at least 20 minutes for me to get paid. And I need to get paid so I can pay my phone bill, and I need my phone bill so I can continue to contact people to get hired for more shows. Yeah. So you're not going to disrupt me like at all, because this is what I was hired to do. You're not going to disrupt the plumber while he's, you know, plumbing your toilet to fix your toilet. You know, I'm technically the plumber right now, and I'm fixing your toilet. So leave me alone and let me do my job.
I noticed you approach it like very professional as a job. Do you have a set time when you write? Do you pen and pad it? Are you in your phone? No. Everything's in your head?
I sit down and write scripts and stuff, and I journal or whatever. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to my stand-up, it's so not to get like too like, you know, esoteric or whatever, but it's something spiritual for me. I don't know how to explain it, dude. Like literally jokes just come. And they'll come when I'm driving. They'll come while I'm in the shower. They'll come while I'm doing yoga. They'll come while I'm doing like meditating. They'll just come at random moments, and I don't know where it comes from. And then I'll jot the idea down in my phone, and I never write too much, because I feel like if I write too much in regards to stand up, it'll take me out of the moment when I'm on stage.
Okay.
And so I actually write while I'm on stage, and I don't even know how I do that and how to explain that, but it just happens, and I'm able to do it without thinking about it.
Yeah.
But I record all my sets because I do write on stage. And so if if something is coming to me while I'm on stage and I'm not recording it, and I get a big laugh and I don't record it, it's like I just wrote a joke and completely forgot it, because I don't actually sit down and write down my stand-up material. If there's certain things I do for sure want to say, I'll write that down, but it's usually no more than like 2 or 3 points, and everything else just kind of comes to me while I'm up on stage. And then I perform so much that, you know, the joke where I wrote it on stage and I keep doing it, I don't need to write it, because I know what
you have so much repetition with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. For you, it seems like you do a bunch of different stuff. Have you always been that way, where it was kind of like the Bruce Lee style to life, of like, you just be Wata, my friend, like whatever?
Yeah. So, well, I've always just been interested in things that allow me to express myself to the fullest degree. And so that's why, like, I've never been like super great at music, but I enjoy making music and I enjoy doing music. And you can see I got a guitar in the back. Boom, that's my Gypsy Rain. Hell yeah. Gibson, that's an Epiphone SG, the replica of the Gibson SG Pro. But yeah, so Epiphone SG, I jam out to that pretty much every day. Like just get a little solo jam in. But I've always just been interested in like storytelling, really, like telling stories and film and music and comedy and stuff. And I used to present myself as like, oh, like I'm an actor / musician / this, but I stopped doing that. And now I just go, because I don't really like titles and stuff anyways, man. Like besides unicorn and comedian, like I don't really do the titles with things. And so, but
it's like self-limiting. Sometimes people can put themselves in a box.
Yeah, and I don't want to do that. But from a logistical business standpoint and social presence, online presence standpoint, I just go by comedian, like stand-up comedian, just because it makes it easier for people. But comedy is one of those things where eventually, if you can get to a point of success in comedy where you can do anything else that you want to do. And so that's my plan, is once I get to a point of success in comedy, because comedy is my main, rocket ship. You know what I'm saying? My main, my roots of my foundation. And then everything that grows from, this foundation is all the other interests and stuff that I have in regards to, film and acting and music and stuff.
So is that what you would want to do, is just keep expanding, writing scripts, doing movies, music, whatever?
Yeah, man. But at the end of the day, bro, I want to do stand up for the rest of my life at this point. Like I want to be a stand up comedian that's a great actor. I don't want to be a great actor that does stand up. I want to be a true stand up comedian, a great stand up comedian that is also like a very talented actor as well.
It's there's nothing like it, man. Being on stage, actual live audience.
Bro, there's nothing. And the beauty of stand-up is, man, you do it long enough, you garner a fan base. When you're in your 50s, and you announce your tour, you're going to sell it out. If you have, because your fans are your fan, they don't even care about what jokes, they want to hear what you're thinking about. Because even like with Dave Chappelle, I'm not watching his new specials because I want to hear what jokes he wrote. I just want to hear what he's thinking about. I don't even give a fuck about the jokes. I just want to know what Dave Chappelle is thinking about, because he already proved to us that he can write jokes.
Yeah.
He proved that, 6 specials before
Yeah.
I don't need to see like, oh, has Dave Chappelle really been working at this point? I just want to hear what the fuck he has to say, because he's Dave Chappelle and he made me want to do stand-up comedy in the first place, Yeah,
it doesn't get better. And I love Dave Chappelle's ability to make a regular sentence funny, where he can just say some shit. Like if anybody else said that, it wouldn't be that funny, but him saying it is just like the delivery, who he is so much of why it is funny. And it's just incredible.
Yeah. And I feel like I relate to that, because I don't know how to write I have maybe like 2 jokes that I have written. I have probably like, 30 minutes of like solid material, but out of that 30 minutes, only 2 are actually like a joke.
Yeah.
Like the formula of a joke, whatever.
Yeah.
And people always talk about like, the joke is just set up, punch. I don't fucking know how that works. I don't know how to do that. My brain does not function like that. But I've been funny my entire life. I was a funny kid. I've just been entertaining too. And I know a lot of technical aspects about stage and stuff that a lot of people don't, because I went to college for theater. And before I dropped, I didn't get my degree, but I took damn near all my theater classes before I left out that bitch, So I definitely got what I wanted out of college and stuff. But prior to leaving, but I know how to make myself look bigger on stage. Yeah. I know how to walk on stage to make it look like I'm walking way further than I actually am. I know how to make
using the space.
Yeah. I know how to make somebody that is in the very back see me as if they were sitting in the front row. Like I just know little small technical aspects about that, because I've been studying just theater and acting and film and stuff like that for such a long time and stuff. And now I get to incorporate it into, because I've always wanted to just make a living off of being myself.
Yeah.
You know, and comedy is the best way to do that because I'm just sharing my thoughts on stage. So it's like, I don't even feel like I have to like really worry about set up punchline joke. Like, I'm a funny person. I can talk about material and stuff that I thought about that, oh, this would be funny to talk about, and say it's my jokes and stuff, but it's just thoughts and ideas that I think are funny. And I share in a way that other people, you know, perhaps think is funny, and then they laugh and stuff, you know.
You are very funny, man. I almost was surprised when you were saying that you don't really write that much, because I think you're hilarious, man.
Thank you. Well, like, bro, my brain is like boom, 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 boom at all times. Yeah. And I have a zero caffeine diet. I have like a damn near zero sugar diet. Like, but in my brain, my energy is always on a million. As soon as my eyes wake up, I'm just like,
no shit,
up and going. It's the weirdest. And I've been like this since I was a kid, and I have never understood it at all. I thought,
how's your sleep?
I sleep great.
Yeah.
I sleep incredible. I sleep, honestly, I sleep like 5 to 6 hours a night.
Yeah.
And that's really it. And from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. generally. Last night I went to sleep a little earlier because I was off work today. But I'm always just like ongoing. My brain is constantly just thinking about random things. And so I feel like there's some part of my brain that is just, yo, we just think about the goofiest shit. And then sometimes we'll catch it. You know, my conscious brain will catch that part of my brain thinking about something goofy or funny. And I'll put it in my notes and then go and say it on stage and see what happens and expand it from there.
So I know somebody listening is going to be like, 5 to 6 hours of sleep is not a lot, but I know when you mention a no sugar, no caffeine diet that you're operating on a different level. Do you think because you have such a good diet with no sugar, no caffeine, that you're able to do a lot more because things aren't weighing you down? Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. Because I remember when I cut out meat from my diet, my energy went to a different, like, because I didn't feel heavy after eating all the time. You know, like, you know, that heaviness you get from eating like some ribs, and
love it.
You know, it's so, and you feel good, but that taking that heaviness out of like my reality.
Yeah.
When I like eat food and stuff, like that has, I don't know, I feel very springy and light all the time. And
so you do no meat, no sugar, no caffeine.
No, I lately I've been putting like some, a little bit of chicken in my salads and stuff at work. Like I've done that probably like 2 or 3 times in the past 2 months.
Really?
But other than that, no meat. I'll eat like salmon and stuff. I'll eat seafood. But yeah, it's really, I eat a lot of greens, a lot of fruit, a lot of like rice and stuff, beans.
So how long have you done the no sugar?
Oh man. Well, so growing up, my mom was a stickler on like sweets and stuff. Like we weren't allowed to really drink sodas and have candy and stuff. Like even on Halloween, they would limit us to like, my parents would limit us to probably like 4 pieces of candy.
That's great though.
Yeah. And so I've never really like I've never had a high sugar diet anyways. Like even as a kid growing up, like I never had a sweet tooth or anything. And so like when I do get a sweet craving, I'll get like some tres leches cake from HEB. It's so delicious. It's so good. But man, like the last time I even ate, like bought a candy bar to eat was probably like, I was maybe in high school. Like I've never just been like a sweets person. It's not my thing. Like it's never has been my thing. And so it's like easy to not like have sugar in my diet because I never have any sugar craving. I'm much more of a savory. I'd rather have something savory than sweet.
Yeah. So no sugar, no caffeine. So do you work out daily or every few days? Do you exercise?
Well, so my day job, I valet park cars, so I'm running.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like I get at least probably like 3 miles, 5 miles in
That's
a
awesome.
day. When it's busy, like when it's a weekend and we're busy and we're running, bro, I'm putting in 5-6 miles worth of running in, while I'm at work. And so I do that. I do yoga. I walk a lot. Like I roller skate. I don't really like doing like the gym and stuff just because I don't like being concealed inside. It drives me crazy. Like if I'm like sweating and exerting and then my energy is just like kind of bouncing back down on me.
Oh.
Yeah, I like outdoor gyms. I love an outdoor gym and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I've always been very active too. Like I have to stay moving, I have to stay stretching and stuff because like I feel like I don't feel like myself if I'm not moving around and stuff.
When you say like you feel like if you're in a closed environment, do you think, not to get into your psyche, but do you think that's like a representation of who you are with like being creative? Is like you just don't want to be constricted.
Yeah, man. Like that's why I go by the unicorn, because
hell yeah, baby.
When anybody, I don't care who you are, when anybody is walking around in the forest or just anywhere in a field and you see a unicorn, you're going to stop and just be like, yo, that's a unicorn. You're not going to see a unicorn chilling inside a cabin.
No.
You know what I'm saying? You're not going to see a unicorn. You may see them like coming out of a cave or some shit, but you're not going to see them really like you're going to see them generally by themselves, just being their brightest self, like expanding out. Their energy is just expanding out. And that's how I feel. My energy, like, cause I have so much, and it's ridiculous how much natural energy I have. And I've always had it since I was a kid, and it's just never, ever left me. And like, if I'm not putting it out, or if I'm like in a concealed place for too long, I go fucking nuts.
Yeah. Have you ever had a point in your life where you realize that, where you're like, I'm not doing the kind of stuff I want to do, and it's...
Oh, of course, bro. Of course. That's my early 20s. I was like a mental case because I knew I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. But at the time, because at the end of the day, man, I just want to be on stage.
Yeah.
And, my ex would call it, being egotistical or being a narcissist or whatever, but it's like I have to be on stage or I'm gonna be miserable. I don't know what it is about being on stage, but it's just I need to be on stage. I need people to see me on stage, and I need these people to listen to me for whatever reason. And I just watched the Kanye documentary, and so now I feel very self-affirmed within my beliefs within myself, and when it comes to being a comedian and performing, because I need to be on stage or I'm going to lose my fucking mind. And I remember in my early 20s and stuff, man, I was very suicidal. I had to go through therapy because I was in a college town. I didn't want to be in college. I was doing music and I was like extremely happy on the like few performances that I was able to get live and stuff. But, it just kind of felt like I was still coming up short with stuff and things weren't really moving the way I thought they could be or should be. And I also didn't feel like I was really being completely true to who I was as a person and, kind of pursuing the type of life that I wanted to be pursuing. And I've always wanted to be a comedian since I was a teenager, but for whatever reason, I wasn't able to get myself to do it until I was like 24, 25. Yeah. And so I think like, and now since doing stand up and jumping into it full time, I've been way more clear-minded and way more happier than I ever have been. And that honestly just came with moving to Austin and doing comedy out here, because when I first started doing stand-up, I was bombing all the time. I was figuring it out. I was in LA. And dude, I was living in my car. And the crazy thing was, because I did stand up in LA for probably 8 months straight, just like hitting it like crazy. I started figuring it out and getting some laughs about 6 months in. And I can remember like doing, a mic, getting laughs in, feeling good, going to my car, crying and going to sleep. You know what I'm saying? Like just still kind of mentally beating myself up. And I don't know if it was because I was homeless at the time or what, but still kind of having that really hard and heavy on myself. But then once I moved to Austin, and because I stopped doing stand-up for a year and a half because of the pandemic. So I didn't do stand-up for a year and like 4 months, 5 months.
Yeah.
And then starting stand-up again, it just kind of opened up a whole new horizon for me, especially moving back to Austin and just hitting the ground running in the stand-up scene out here. And now I feel like I'm a force of nature in the stand-up scene, and I'm putting out something that is very original and very unique, and I feel like is going to be, my spaceship, my rocket ship to, the next xenon of comedy.
Yeah. I think that's beautiful, man. And I appreciate you being open about all of it, man, because that's some tough stuff, man, living in your car. And
yeah, man, it was rough. It was a crazy time. It was, especially like, because, man, I mean, you know how hard stand-up is, especially when you're starting out, and, there's really no right or wrong way to do it. And
there's no path.
Like
with no right or wrong, there's also no set. You do this and this happens, and you do this.
Yeah,
it's nothing
and even
like school.
And you can study like all the greats and stuff, but even their paths are all unique to their own lives and stuff. And so I feel like where I was in life, like, because I mean, I was doing acting stuff, but I just really wasn't that satisfied with it. And then jumping into comedy in Los Angeles, which is a hard fucking scene to just do comedy in, but to start out there was pretty psychotic of me, honestly, while living in a car and, not really having any money, but, just doing it.
What year were you doing stand up in LA? I'm sorry to cut you off.
Oh, no, you're fine. So the first time I did stand up was in Santa Monica. This is my very first time on stage. It was at the Santa Monica Theater, and I did bad. I got giggles, but I remember there was this older woman from San Diego that she came up to me after this show. She was a middle-aged woman, and she said, "You are very vulgar. You need to clean it up a lot, and you need some work. But I think you should seriously do this. I think you should." I had no idea who this lady was. Yeah, and she just was a random woman that came to see, and she drove from San Diego, and then she left and drove back to San Diego that night. But I remember her telling me, you should definitely do this. Took her advice. Second time I performed was at a cannabis-themed coffee shop in North Hollywood. And I got so high before. And I thought it was fine because I was like, okay, everybody will be high. It'll be good. I got so high that it literally felt like I was watching myself in third person perform. And as I'm watching myself in third person perform, I'm telling myself in third person, you are fucking up right now.
Oh,
this
is not
going well at all. Yeah, it was just terrible. But I stayed on stage like a G. Took all those bullets. Didn't perform for a year. I was like, fuck comedy. I'm not doing this shit. This is no, hell no. That was my first and true bomb.
And especially if you're high, makes it so much. It makes it nuclear, dude.
Terrible. And that was a true just bombing, just horrible bombing, to the point where I was like, fuck comedy. I'm never doing this shit again. I tried. I don't like it. I'm done. Whatever. And I didn't for a year. Thought about it the entire time too. Just constantly thought about doing it again, but was so afraid, and confidence just completely hurt. I was like, man, I got to make it off this acting shit, because comedy, fuck that. Fuck that. So fast forward a year later, which would be, I guess, 2019. Yeah.
Okay.
2019, May 2019. I'm in downtown Los Angeles. One of my friends is performing on a comedy show, and it was a showcase, but they had like an open mic afterwards. And so I went to go support him at the showcase. And he said, yo, man, you should put your name in for the open mic or whatever. I was like, nah, bro, I'm good. Just came to support you. And he said, come on, bro, don't be a bitch. And I was like, all right. All right. You don't
works every time.
Yeah, it works every time. So I signed up and I performed. I did okay. But I remember there was a comic that was touring with Conan O'Brien that was on the showcase that was there. And he came up to me and was like, yo, man, you're good. Like you're good. You need to do this. Like you got to figure it out, but just do it. Just you're in LA, jump into the scene, go to open mics all the time, but you're good. Like you're going to figure it out. Just keep doing it. And that's when I was like, all right, I guess I'm a comedian now. And that's when I just jumped into the LA scene and was performing every night at shitty coffee shops and that were charging me $5 just to get on stage, and then driving 45 minutes over to Riverside and stuff and performing, you know, all around, you know, the LA County and stuff and Pasadena and doing that whole hustle. And
I was in LA. So we probably crossed paths because I was there throughout 2019, early 2020. Yeah. I was living in Ventura, but I would drive to do comedy in LA. And people don't understand, if they haven't done stand-up in LA, it's like I'd spend $20 in gas to drive there. I'd spend about 6 hours there doing all these different mics that I was paying $5, $10 to do an 8-minute set. Nobody paying attention, you know, where it's just like other comics on their phone waiting to go on stage and expect you to be an audience for them. I'd spend like $40 a night. And then like, they'd be like, so are you getting paid like regular people? And I'd be like, no, I'm paying to do this shit right now.
I'm paying to do this.
It's a fucking pyramid scheme in LA doing mics, dude. It's brutal.
But honestly, man, like, cause I got beat up in LA, bro. You know, I don't think I'll ever bomb as bad as that first bomb.
Oh,
you know,
LA is hard because there's an illusion of what Hollywood is. And then people are cutthroat there. I was bombing one time in LA so bad, I blanked on my set because it was getting so bad. I started sweating, can't even remember the next joke. So I panic and I'm like, open my phone on stage to try to see my next joke. My fucking iPhone thumbprint, I'm sweating and it won't work. So I'm just like, oh, you're going to fail me right now. Bro.
That's why they invented the Face ID, because of that moment right there. They're like, yo, if there's a comic sweating on stage that needs to get to his set list and he's got sweaty thumbs, it's not going to work, bro. It's going to be a lot of comedians mad at us. We can't have that. We're Apple.
Yeah, man. Nah, I feel you 100%, man.
Yeah, but getting beat up in LA, man, it made me a much better comic. I feel like I needed that because Austin is way nicer of a scene. It's way friendlier of a scene. Like, and the comedians that haven't been out in the LA scene or like the New York scene, I'm not sure how the Chicago scene is, but the comedians that are out here that haven't been in those like cutthroat ass scenes, man, woo, they're in for a fucking wild ride when they go, boy. You gotta come with a guillotine for these fucks and these other markets, bro. For real, bro. They're savage, bro. I went to Denver and they were almost too friendly out there, man. They had funny reactions to my racial material. I'll tell you that. They're not used to hearing about race like that a lot. I come to find out. I did well. I got laughs, but man, they were not ready. I'll tell you that.
They just don't know if they're supposed to laugh. They don't know how to laugh.
I love Denver, but Denver is super. I thought Austin was white, man. Denver is super white. Those are those mountainous snow white people. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
a lot of cocoa out there.
Yeah. So I come out with my wild racial material and they're like, I'm scared to laugh right now.
Yeah.
It's funny, but like they would laugh, but it was like uncomfortable laughs.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my gosh, like who the fuck, like why? Because my stupid penis jokes were, they just rocking and rolling. You know what I'm saying? They liked all my like dumb jokes, but my smarter jokes that were about race and stuff, they were not. They laughed, but they were like, go to the stupid stuff. We want to jokes. We don't want to hear the serious shit right now.
That's amazing.
But then I double down. Whenever I sense that, I always double down. I'm like, oh, this is making y'all uncomfortable. Oh, I got so much in the chamber. I got so much in the chamber that I want to make y'all uncomfortable with, because why not? I already got good tape to submit. I don't need tape right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make white people uncomfortable.
Nice. Austin, that is one thing about Austin is I actually liked LA because I have a lot of racial stuff with like white people. I'm Puerto Rican. So it's like I love playing with the half white, half Puerto Rican stuff. And just I love making fun of white people and food and seasoning.
Oh, hell yeah.
I noticed that when I first came from like LA to here, there was a huge pullback whenever I started talking about racial stuff. And it was just like, people want to be so inclusive here that they get like, oh, well, I don't know, if I support that. Like I had a girl come up to me after a show being like, so why do you say huepa if you're not Mexican? And I'm like, I'm Puerto Rican. She's like, Puerto Ricans don't say huepa. And I'm like, I lived in Puerto Rico, like literally say it at every party. She was like, I was like, are you Mexican? She's like, no, but I have friends who are. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like people, they're tense.
That's just the white guilt, man. I like to make fun of that shit too, because Austin's one of those cities where, yes, it's progressive, but once there's more than 5 black people in the room, y'all are all of a sudden very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The same woman that's standing up for her Mexican friends is the same one that is going to get very uncomfortable. She's in a room that's nothing but Mexican people,
Yeah.
And so it's like, that's why in Austin, I like doing my racial material more, because like, I know y'all are going to feel some type of way from me saying this, because y'all live in this bubble in Texas. Austin's an incredible city. I love Austin. Absolutely love this city. But a lot of people live in a bubble out here. And as a black comic, as a comedian, as a comedian that's black, as a comedian that's multiracial, I feel like I am supposed to pop their little perfect bubble that they live in, their progressive bubble that they live in, because it's not all like black and white or colorful rainbows. It's, colors that we can't even see, because you don't have anybody showing you these colors.
They don't have perspective.
Because you don't have to live in a world where these colors are shown to you on a day-to-day basis from watching the news and shit, Yeah. So it's like, all right, I want to pop that bubble. And I'm saying it in a way where we can laugh about it. I want you to laugh about it, but I also want to have an emotional response from you, because I was watching, I watched this documentary on YouTube. It was just different comedians talking. Chris Rock was talking about how a lot of comedians, they want to go for that, a laugh every 15 seconds, a laugh every 15 seconds. And he goes, that's nice and that's great, but I want to go for a laugh. I want to go for a boo. I want to go for I want to go for an emotional cry. I want to go for another laugh. I want to go for like another, like, I disagree. I want to go for it, and that's like what I want. Because I want you to laugh, but I also want you to go like, oh my God, like, what the fuck did you just say?
Yeah.
Did you really just say that out loud? Like, I agree with that, or I don't agree with that, or, like, I want those emotional responses, because I feel like people are going to remember those responses more than if they were just laughing. They're going to remember the laughs, but if you can make them laugh and then also get them to go, oh shit, I feel like that's going to make you a little more memorable too. Yeah. And I don't even purposely come up or write material that does that. It's just I look like this. I'm black. I'm a male in a white city. I'm going to talk about this. I grew up in Sherman, Texas. I grew up in a very small country meth head town.
Yeah.
I come from a multiracial background. My dad's a Vietnam War vet. My mom was born in the 50s as well. I come from a very strange, kind of unique background that hasn't really been seen in comedy yet. So I'm going to talk about these things because y'all haven't seen anybody besides Trevor Noah, who's from South Africa. What other mixed multiracial comics do you know?
Yeah. I think that's great, dude. And that's what makes you original and the unicorn is if you talk about the shit that is only specific to you, like give the world that perspective, you know? Cause that's like,
yeah, because all I know is me. Like, I don't know anything else. I can't do anything besides me. So it's like, I can't, and that's why I don't, have a lot of jokes about certain things. Like I'm working on a trans joke, but it's like, that's not my experience. So I'm not really going to make a joke like that or whatever. And, I don't really have an LGBTQ joke because like, it's not my experience. I don't know their reality. I don't know their world like that. So
yeah,
like, I'm not really going to try to relate, but I'm just going to talk about what I know and what I've experienced and what I like and what, makes me have an emotional reaction or a certain type of reaction. And that's all I'm going to talk about because that's all I feel like I really need to talk. I don't have to make a general joke about a dishwasher. Who the fuck cares about a dishwasher? That doesn't make me interesting. And no matter how funny it is, it doesn't make me a more interesting person. But, telling people on stage that I'm from Sherman, Texas, where the biggest population is meth heads. Oh, that's a funny thing. And that also lets me know that you're from a very meth head town or whatever. Now people know something about me. Now people be like, that's that comic from Sherman where he's like grew up around meth heads and stuff, where his uncle was a meth head, and stuff like that. Because I feel like my purpose is bigger than just general joke writing. Like I feel like I have a purpose in comedy. I feel like there's a reason why I'm doing comedy, and there's a reason why I need to be in comedy and be somebody that's known in comedy, because I feel like I'm going to cause people to receive a certain perception of reality and life in American society that hasn't really been talked about like this or in this way or by somebody that looks like this.
Yeah. I think that's great, man. Well, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, man. I think that's been around an hour.
Oh man, that's been good. That's been great. It's been great, man. Thank you so much for having me. This has been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. We've talked
very enjoyable for me.
We've talked before, but I'm glad to get to know you more. We have a show actually that you're
this Friday.
On. This Friday, where's it at?
Yes, March 11th at the Brass Tap in the Domain in North Austin. Doors open at 10 p.m. and show starts at 10:30 p.m. Late night show. The Wonderful Unicorn Extravaganza, unique comedians in Austin, Texas. I love doing the show because the reason why I do this show and the reason why I call it the Wonderful Unicorn Extravaganza is because I feel like there's comedians in Austin that either are getting booked, but I don't feel like are getting booked enough. And I feel like that they're funny, and I feel like that they deserve to be on stage just as much as other people that, get to work in the city and have been working in the city. And I also am a big proponent of diversity on my shows. I have a 2 white dude limit for my comedy shows. Because, and the reason why is this may offend somebody because they heard that, but the reason why, on a serious note, is because there's 150 to 200 plus comedians in Austin, Texas. And out of those 200 plus comedians, only about 22 of us are Black. I haven't done the numbers for every other race, but I have done it for the Black folks.
Haven't crunched the numbers for everybody else.
Yeah, I did the numbers for us, for my people. But but no, there's only like 22 of us that are Black, and out of those 22, about 10 of us are active, and so I want my shows to not only be individuals I think that should be booked more, but also the multicultural voices that are in Austin, Texas comedy.
I love that, man. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So, and my white dude comics know that I love them. And I've told all my white dude comic friends that I have a 2 white dude limit. But no, because I want to use my platform to, get people that I think are just funny people, an opportunity to, make a little bit of money doing what they love to do, and in front of, hopefully what's a great audience. The last one sold out.
Yeah.
The last one sold out. And I work with the house band, Shelly Nicks. And I can honestly say my shows are an experience. The Wonderful Unicorn Extravaganza is definitely an experience and a lot of fucking fun. And it's going to be a great show. And I'm excited to have you on, bro. I'm super excited to have you on.
Thank you, brother. We'll have the ticket link. Actually, when this podcast link comes out, we'll put another one on the story also.
Most definitely.
Here in Austin. Check it out. If you want to check out more of Jordan Macdonald stuff, you can go to The Unicorn. How do you spell it? Jordan the Unicorn.
Jordan the Unicorn. So it's spelled UNIXORN. It's an acronym that stands for uniquely never imitating extra or redundant nonsense.
Woo!
Yeah.
I had no idea that's what it was, baby.
Boom. Yeah, man. So completely, it's a lifestyle, really. Being a unicorn is a lifestyle. Completely do your own thing. Everybody else is already taken. There's no reason to emulate or imitate any other person on the planet. And you can make a living off of completely being your own unique self. And that's what I'm a proponent for. So that's what being a unicorn is.
Amen, brother. Shout out to all the unicorns. Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. You a unicorn, my man. You definitely a unicorn, bro. You a unicorn, bro. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.